Page 112, Habanera, or Habanera, however you pronounce it, I don't know. On page 108 and so forth, they're introducing you to the key of D minor. D minor has one flat. It's the relative minor to F major. F major, remember, has a B flat. Well, D minor, and again, it's 3 half steps down. 1, 2, 3. D minor has one flat, a B flat. That's what we call the natural minor. Most of the time we do the harmonic minor. My scale video on D minor, I need you to go do that. Learn the scale, 1 octave up and down if you don't know it. And there I do the harmonic minor, and that simply means the 7th step gets raised a half step. In D minor, the 7th step is a C. It's just 1 less than 8. So instead of a C natural, I take it up a half step to a C sharp. So it's here. That's what's used most in the music and so forth. When a key is in D minor, you'll see a lot of C sharps in it because that's its 7th step. And the melodic minor, we'll get into that someday, but really it's the minor, in my opinion, the minor scale you need to know here is the harmonic minor. Well, on pages 1, 10, 11, and so forth, they get you into the primary chords. Again, it's the 1, the 4, and the 5, 7. See, the numbers don't change. They're the same numbers for all keys. So it's the chord built on the 1st step, the 4th step, and the 5th step with the 7th added. Okay. D minor here. The 1st step is the D, so a D chord, now remember the notes we use have to be in the key of D minor. So it's here. That is a D minor chord. It's a 1 chord in the key of D minor. And then the 4 chord, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a B flat in D minor. So that's the 4 chord in D minor. It's a G minor chord. Now the 5 chord, then I add the 7th to it, and that is the A7 chord or 5/7 chord in D minor. Now I'll put the A on top here. I'm going to come down here. Put the A on top and we get this. And we don't need both of these notes. We need these notes. We don't need both of these notes, or either one. I don't know. So we usually leave out that one and you end up with that. That's what they're showing in the book. So, 1 chord, and the 4 chord, remember, is a G minor chord. Well, I'm going to stay here and just go up here. It's a G minor chord with a D on the bottom. So it's... And then a 5/7 chord, do it in both hands. 4, 5/7. Those are the primary chords in D minor. It would help you to get to know them. They cover them in pages 110 and 111. Well, whatever. Now, Habanera, whatever, is in the key of D minor. Got 1 flat. And it ends on a D minor chord, so I figure it's in D minor. Actually, it kind of switches back and forth to D minor to D major, because they can do that. Now let's look it over. 4/4 time, it's got a 2-beat pickup. You go down to the bottom of the page, the last measure, you see the double bar line. We're going into a new section, and they're also changing the key signature. Now we're going from D minor to D major. D major has 2 sharps. So you can go back and forth between the minor scale and the major, and in this case it's not the relative, it's what we call the parallel, because both scales start on the same note. One is D minor and the other is D major. They just go together very nicely harmonically. It sounds, and that's all they're doing here is they're going from D minor to D major. And you're staying in D major all the way to the end. It doesn't go back into D minor. A lot of times it goes back into D minor. A piece will go back to its original key or whatever, but it doesn't have to. And here it doesn't. It stays in D major. You got eighth notes and triplets and things going on. Ooh, let's do this one hand at a time because you're moving around some. The fingering we want to be very careful with. At the beginning, you're starting here in the right hand, and you got accidentals all over the place. Play it all connected. All legato for now. Two, and then it's a one, just here. So you can cross over. So you're kind of doing a chromatic passage like fingering. Use third finger on the black keys in a chromatic passage. That's sort of what they're doing. And then two, and now measure three, you have a triplet, one enda, and a 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, one enda, one enda, 2 and 3. Piano players have to go back and forth between duple and triple time all the time. That's one enda, 2 enda, 3 and 4 and 1 enda, 2 enda, 3. It's just a lot of fun, but you'll get good at it. You get a lot of practice, and this is what this is doing. 1 enda, 2 and 3 ends. Make those eighth notes even. 1 enda. Then reach up and do that again. Now, on measure 6, you're here. It's not the same as measure 2 up above, because in measure 2 you had a 1 here, but these, you don't have a G sharp here, so it's just 2, and then over, third finger, and again triplet, 1 enda, 2 and. That's just a 2, 3, nothing fancy. Okay, keep going at the bottom. Second ending, you're here, 1 and 2 and 3. And now it's all of a sudden F sharps. 1 and 2, 1 and 2. And they want fourth finger again. That has to be an error. There's no way you're going to do that. I mean, technically you can get away with it because there's a staccato, but that's just a really poor fingering to do that. I don't recommend it. So let's alter this fingering a little bit. Let's measure 11 and 12. You can do a 5 and then a 4. That's, in my opinion, is much better than doing 2 4s in a row. Do a 5 and then a 4. You have to be able to use different fingers on repeated notes anyway, and I do most of the time, but, so that's fine. I recommend you do that. Then going on, 1 and 2, measure 14, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. It's not the best, but okay, we can do that. I think a better fingering here is for measure 15. You're here. Use thumb on the G. Now you're in position for the rest of it. So I would suggest you use thumb on the G. So it's here. Don't forget the C sharp, it's in the key signature. And then during the rest you come up. So measure 17, 1 and 2. See, on 2 you're resting. During the rest come down. So here they do tell you to use a 1. Well, that's what I told you to do in measure 15. Same thing. If you have big fat fingers and all, this may not work in measure 20. That's okay, but that's not so good. You can, if you need to, is on the eighth notes, 2 and then 3. Now you can do a 2 5, 2 4, and a 2 1. That shouldn't be a problem if you got big hands and big fat fingers. If you got little hands, you don't have to worry about it. You can do that. You'll fit there and use the fingering in the book. Here, and then lift up, come down, and thumb, third finger. Now we have eighth notes. This is actually a turn, what's called a turn. It's a type of ornament, but they've written it out for you. It's just the note where we're on an A and we're just playing the notes above and below the A. The fingering in the book is one of the most common fingerings for this kind of pattern, so I highly recommend it. 4, 3, 2, 1. Just put it up. Except your thumb, rather than being here, it's underneath. It doesn't go that fast, but the point is a turn can be rather quick, and this kind of fingering is really good, so I recommend it. This is measure 24, and then 4th finger, and the fermata, hang on to it for whatever, I don't know, and then the triplets, 4 and they come down. Last measure, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. There's some tricky stuff going on there. Okay, left hand, broken chords mainly, but the syncopation. Here at the beginning, the 8th notes first, the short notes first. Because we're accustomed to seeing a dotted rhythm with the dotted note first and then the short note. So it'd be 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and 3. That's what we're accustomed to. That's not the rhythm, that's not the style of the piece. The short note comes first. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's all. 2. Measure 4 to up here. Remember the B flat. And measure 5. 1. Now if you can't get up in here, then you have to do that. And the 5/7 chord. Go down to the bottom, D major. And now we're in D major. Measure 13, it's 4 chord in D major. There's no B flat here. And then on measure 16, you get the 5/7 chord. And then the 1 chord. Just using the primary chords. Last measure at the bottom is here, and the last note is that D, way down here. 1 ledger line is an E, 2 is a C. You should just know that, and the D's in between them. So, put the hands together. I'm still connecting everything. Here. 1 and 2. 1 and 2 and. 1 and 2 and. See, they put the count in between the lines here to try and help you out. I'm saying and every time they do a plus. So it's 1 and 2 and. 1 and 2 and. That's just weird. It really is that rhythm. You have to go back to one hand at a time again if you have to, but just very slowly there at the first full measure at the top here. So beat 1 is here, and you don't get another note on a beat until beat 3. You don't play a note on beat 2. You're holding down. It's 2. See, on beat 2, I'm holding these down, and then on the end of 2, I play that. 1 and 2 and. 1 and 2. And again, 1 and 2. 1 and 2 and 3. On page 113, the rhythm kind of settles down a bit and it's a little bit better. It's top of page 113, you're here. 1 and 2. But your left hand is finally settled down. So forth. Let's go down to the last line, measure 23. You're here. 1 and 2. And that fermata, just hang on to it for an extra beat or so, and then go on. 4 and the left hand comes up. So that's by itself. And that A is by itself. So forth. So work it out. You go your speed, go as slow as you gotta go to get the rhythm. and then work out any glitches or hesitations you may have, because this is a dance. It's got to be a steady beat. Could be a slow beat, it's got to be a steady beat. Then we're going to add the articulation. The staccatos are all real short. It's a nice light wrist staccato. Everything else that isn't marked as staccato, you connect it. Just cover that again very carefully. At the top, hold that down. So I'm connecting that as best. Hold that down. Hold both of those down. So forth. Go down to the bottom, last measure there. This is where it goes in the D major here. Left hand is just here and then staccato. Again, wrist staccato. Here, lift up before you play the A. Separate the F sharp and the A. The F sharp isn't short, it's just separated. Those are going to sort of sound staccato, but don't make them real short. Here you have accent, a little extra. So forth. Then at the bottom, here. In that one, you linger on it with a metronome. I'll add one beat and then lift up both hands together. Short, and then the last note is an accent and short. And staccato. Boom. Then we can add the dynamics. Soft, that's the melody. The left has to be background. So. The tendency will want to increase it, keep it soft all the way through. Then when you get to the second ending at the bottom, you come up to moderately loud, not loud, just sort of. The left hand is soft. Then when you get down to measure 17, you go up again. Now you're loud. And these accents, that makes those notes very loud actually. The left hand stick, keep it soft. Soft. Loud. Soft. Now crescendo up. Don't get loud till you get to the F sharp. Hang on, and then this is all loud at the end. And the last note with an accent makes it very loud. Both hands. Now you get an idea of the articulation, then you can kind of think about the speed. It's not a fast piece, it's got somewhere in the middle. We want to feel that 4 beats going on in all the syncopation. I suggest you go listen to the actual piece with an orchestra playing it, or maybe if there's a recording of the opera somewhere, go listen to that and get an idea of the atmosphere. Because eventually you want to get beyond the notes and the mechanics and get into the music. That's where the music really happens. But you got to be comfortable with all the mechanics first. Now they've added pedal. This is going to help with the overtones and to bring out some of the longer notes. And I'm going to push the notes down first and then the pedal. And I'm going to lift it up when I play the staccato notes. So forth, all the way through there, and even at the bottom, when it goes into D major, it's the same thing. That's the style of the pedaling all the way through. However, I will add one more thing to it. I gotta complicate the pedaling a little, and that is on the very last note here at the bottom. Pedal with it. Go put the pedal down with the note and lift it with the note. It's a staccato pedal, just down and up. So it reinforces the loud note and gives it some color, and even though it's short, we can still do that. And rather than, it just adds a little bit extra to it. You have to listen very carefully to even hear it, but you're supposed to be listening very carefully anyway, so okay, hear it. Now there is an alternate pedaling you can try. It depends on the style and the interpretation and what, you know, but when you get to the D major part, if you want to hear the silence between the dotted note and the eighth note after it, you got to lift the pedal up with the right hand. So starting at the bottom, measure at the bottom of page 112 here. Rather than holding the pedal down to the quarter note all the way through, lift the pedal with the F sharp. But keep this down. That way you can hear the rest in the right hand. But you got to keep the left hand down because it's not got a rest there. And that's a way of interpreting it. It makes it a little trickier on the pedaling, but try it. Maybe you like it. I like it, but I'll go ahead and do the pedaling they show anyway. I'd like to play it with you very slowly to double check the notes and the rhythms. Not going to do the dynamics. We will do the repeat, just like it's written. So I'll give us 2 counts because we come in on beat 3. So it's going to go ready, go, and then we go. You know, so be ready to go. Ready, go.